We discussed that earlier. Okay, it's close enough to 3 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. CAC Advisory Committee. To start things off, I think we'll just go around the room. We've got some new members. I don't know if any new ones are online. No, but I'll just kick it off. I'm Ed Dills. I'm currently chairing and I represent the city of Rama. And if any questions or anything, I'd be more than glad to do that. And you'd like to go next.
I'm Dave Betzler, I'm the new guy, heading Northern El Paso Community Coalition Community Association. Basically, it's an HOA associated organization. We represent 42 HOAs. Focus is really. Okay, Dave Betzler with NEPCO. And NEPCO is basically 42 HOAs. We represent them. We focus on community engagement, smart growth, quality of life. So we look at water and transportation, especially as it impacts the northern part of the county.
My name is Tyler Peoples, a citizen at large. Right, I work with the Springs Rescue Mission. I've been there for 12 years now, and but glad to be here to share thoughts on how these decisions may impact folks that I work with.
Gary Sugar at large, retired military, and been on, so it'll be my 6th year, I guess, finishing up my 2nd term here.
Chuck Theobald, City of Colorado Springs. I'm a retired industrial engineer and have worked with transportation issues here in town. And I'm in my 3rd year.
Welling Clark, representative for El Paso County. And I'm in my middle of my 2nd term. Expertise areas, operations analysis, applied statistics, and research methodology.
My name is Cheryl Richards. I'm the office manager for the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments.
Alrighty, Jared Berner, Public Policy and Communications Manager here at PPACG.
Hi, I'm Danelle Miller. I'm the Associate Director for Transportation Planning and also the liaison for the Community Advisory Committee.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Gagnon. I'm the Transit Planner here at PPACG.
I'm Josh Squires. I'm a Transportation Planner here at PPACG.
And that's all that's in the room. If starting with Brad, if you'd like to give a brief introduction of yourself online.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Brad Simmons. I think I'm in my 2nd year, retired military as well, representing El Paso County. Thank you.
Kathy.
Hello, Kathy Heisey representing Calhan, and I am at the end of my 1st term.
And then we have Teresa, if you're available.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Teresa Cheek. I'm a local business owner. This is, I think, my 3rd year, and I'm still learning a lot. Thanks.
Thank you. And Summer, if you're on. You're not sure. And Tom in the back.
I'm Summer Earthsong. I'm the transit supervisor for the City of Fountain, and I'm here representing the City of Fountain. I'm in my 3rd year.
Okay, thank you very much. And Steve Schleicher will be late today, and otherwise we'll wait till next meeting for further introductions. So at this time, I hope you've all had an opportunity to look at the agenda, and if so, entertain a motion to accept the agenda for today.
Move. This is Chuck Theobald, City of Colorado Springs. Move we approve today's agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second, Gary Sugar at large.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And there are none, so agenda's accepted. Next, we need to review the minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at that? If so, we'll take a motion to accept them.
Welling Clark, El Paso County, motion to accept minutes.
In a second,
Chuck Theobald, City of Colorado Springs, second.
motion in a second. Any comments?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Kathy Heisey Callahan, I'll abstain. I was not at the last meeting.
Okay, that's noted. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any
I,
opposed? There are none opposed. Tom, do you have anyone online for comments or? Okay, anyone in the room with public comment? Hearing none on that, we will move on. And Josh, it's your turn.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, CAC. This item, the draft fiscal year 2027 through 2031 Transportation Improvement Program has completed its required 30-day public comment period, which concluded on April 12th. No public comments were received. During this time, 2 open houses were held. We held one in person here in the PPACG conference room and one virtual, provide opportunities for public input, with 1 member of the public in attendance. The draft was also made available through PPACG's website, and there was a newspaper publication for public comment awareness. And the final document is available online for review, and I believe it is included in your packet. Staff would like to note one administrative correction. For tip ID 2021-005, the Link Road reconstruction for the city of Fountain. Funded was awarded in our call for projects in fiscal year 30, but was programmed in fiscal year 31 incorrectly. That has been corrected and is reflected correctly in the updated tip. The proposed motion is to recommend the adoption of the fiscal year 2027 through 2031 Transportation Improvement Program to the Board of Directors.
And that's the only change from what we were presented.
Yes, that is the only change.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, and I'm seeing none online. If there's no questions or comments, entertain a motion to pass this on to the board.
Comment here.
Yes.
Just want to compliment the study. If you look at it, in one of the appendices, it lists the projects completed and those not completed. There was only one not completed, and I think like over 2 dozen or more that were completed. That bodes well, given the reduction in tip in the past. And the only thing I would, as if I was elected official, would like to see is if we put a project in place, is there a way we can quantify, measure the output? Did we reduce accidents, improve throughput, or something like that? I don't know if that's possible to do or not.
Something you can review.
Yeah, we can definitely take a look at that.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. If we can get a motion to pass this to the board.
Welling Clark, El Paso County, motion to approve.
Second.
Kathy Heisey Callahan, I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any additional comments, questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Hey, thank you, Josh.
Thank you, guys.
And Angie, environmental's up next. She's done doing rabbit ears.
Hello, everybody. All right, so this item is regarding our 208 plan. So some of you may remember, I think there's some new people here, but so PPACG is the designated 208 planning agency for the Pikes Peak area. And what that means is or part of what that means is we're responsible for developing and managing a regional water quality management plan, seeing that that gets implemented and making sure it's up to date. So it was last updated in 2019 and it is due for an update. So that's what we're doing. Thanks to some funding from the Lyda Hill Foundation, we can do that. We have the funding to do the technical updates to the plan over the 2026 year. So we've already kicked off this update. We'll be working with a consultant, Respec. Sorry, that reminds me of a funny joke with John wanting to sing a song, but so I got distracted. So they're completing the technical update, and however, the full update won't be completed until late 2027 because so what that timeline looks like is that 2026 is all the text edits and the technical things. And then 2027 will take us through all of the review process through with PPACG, public comments. Then we also have to do a review process with the CDPHE Water Quality Control Division and with the EPA. So all of that takes a really long time. So in order to try to make it more efficient, the whole review, our plan is to bring chunks of the 208 plan as they're updated to the Water Quality Committee and to you guys for review and recommendation. And then once we have all the sections that are ready to go, we'll send the whole package to the board of directors for their review and for public comment. So with that, we have today the first chunk of the 208 plan before you. It's called Appendix A, the site application review process. And this is a really important part. I mean, the whole plan is important as I see it, but it's a very important part of the plan because it guides how we review the site applications. And site applications regularly come before this group for your review and approval. They have a lot to do with wastewater treatment plants, lift stations, all sorts of projects that relate to the treatment of wastewater to protect water quality. And as the 208 agency, that's another of our responsibilities to review those site applications and make sure that they're consistent with the 208 plan. So updating the process that guides that review is really important part of how everything kind of connects together. So in your packet you have the revised Appendix A that we're proposing. And there's also a link to the red line version of the Appendix A. But in summary, we don't have to go through every update, but I'm happy to if you want to. So what we did is we simplified a lot of the text because there was a lot of redundant stuff in there. And we also added clarity where we thought it was needed. We also developed criteria to review applications consistently. This criteria wasn't just sort of pulled out of the sky. It was compared to other 208 agencies across the state, which there are 3 others. And we also made sure it was consistent with Regulation 22, which is the state's regulation, which guides those site applications. We clarified who's responsible for public outreach and what parts of public outreach they're responsible for. We also added clarity throughout the document for applicants to use because they're always contacting me with the exact same questions, which is completely fine. But I also want a resource to point them to. And our previous Appendix A was too confusing. I couldn't send anyone there. So we added some clarity and we included a flow chart also for some sort of visual processing of how that entire thing works together. And then lastly, we developed fees for applicants so that this work of all the processing of the applications can pay for itself. We don't get any funding for that. So we get a small amount of funding for that, but it doesn't really cover all the work that we do for the 208 program. So it's a really small fee. It's $500, I think it's roughly $500 across the board. All of our water quality committee was fine with that. And we felt like it was enough to not, put too much burden on applicants, but also allow PPACG to continue doing the work. So that's all I got. I'll take any questions.
Any questions on the line? Welling.
Yes, I looked at the process, and it also seemed that you had reached out to other entities to review it to help answer questions. So you actually had, just correct me, that you had input from the general public that would also be applying for this process too, from the standpoint of clarity. Is that a correct understanding?
We don't have public input, but our entire water quality management committee has input on it. We will, when we release the whole thing for public comments, that's where we'll get the public input.
Okay, it seemed like you had gone out to, in a way to ask them, hey, where can we clarify this? Where are the questions? And you're receiving input on that, which is actually excellent in that aspect. Thank you.
Yes, Chuck.
In looking at Water Quality Management Association on page 3 of 13, it only lists the one Lower Fountain Water Quality Management Association that includes Colorado Springs Utilities. Does utilities also cover stormwater runoff and that kind of input into the water quality issues within the Fountain Creek watershed? Are they the responsible agency or are there others?
Okay, there's a couple things here. The Lower Fountain Water Quality Management Association doesn't do stormwater. We did used to have 3 or 4 or even more, if you look further back in time, water quality management associations doing this work. They're the only one remaining. So I know you didn't ask this, but so we did expand their service area to cover all of El Paso County. So that's one change. But another, for the stormwater in particular, for the city of Colorado Springs, that's a stormwater enterprise. And they do all that. We engage with them, we collaborate with them because the 208 plan also covers stormwater. But however, our site applications are only focused on wastewater treatment or discharge. So stormwater is covered in the 208 plan, but stormwater is not covered under this appendix. But we do engage with them.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I do have a question, Angie. If we vote to approve what you're doing today, over the next few months, weeks, how's it going to work on the additional before you take it to the board? How many more of these can we expect?
That's a really good question. So working with our consultant Respec, excuse me, they're trying to do it in larger chunks. So it's not like every single chapter. That would be overwhelming. But we also don't want to give you such a big chunk that you have to read the entire 300-page document at once. So I don't have an exact number, but hopefully 3 to 4 would be like no more than that.
So like October, we should be through the process?
Yes. So we're hoping to go to public comment, which means we're all done. The board has released it for public comment November or December.
Okay. Right. Well, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we can entertain a motion at this time to accept this, what Angie's presented to this point.
Are we recommending it on to the PPACT or are we just accepting Appendix A?
Accepting this segment before she takes the whole thing to the board.
Chuck Theobald, City of Colorado Springs, we accept Appendix A of the 208 plan as presented.
Tyler Peoples, I second that motion.
Okay, thank you. And sorry I wasn't more clear before, but any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, Danelle, will.
Hey, so I just have a committee membership item today. As you all know, we have one at-large vacancy on our committee here. We opened an application period in March and April. We had 5 applicants for that one position. We had a meeting of the volunteer members of the nomination subcommittee. Tyler Peoples, Teresa Cheek, and Kevin Clark provided some input on the applications. And two of those candidates, it was a very difficult kind of discussion. I think all five candidates had strong resumes, had good good background that could certainly fit this this committee. So what the nomination subcommittee chose to do was to bring up two particular candidates to the board or to the committee as a whole. And the goal today would be to talk about those particular candidates, weigh their kind of pros and cons, and then come up with the recommended candidate, which then I will take to the board of directors. I will note that anyone who was not selected for this at-large position, we can keep their stuff on file, but also we will give that information to some of those organizations and jurisdictions with vacancies. For example, there is one candidate who has background with Hey Neighbor, formerly Kono, who has had a vacancy for about a year now. So I've already chatted with Hey Neighbor, and they're interested in possibly recommending that particular candidate for their slot. So please know that if someone wasn't a finalist or wasn't selected for this at-large vacancy, they may come back to this committee in another spot. But for today, we have Candy Boyer and Patricia Rojas were the two finalists for the position that were discussed. And at this point, I would love for Teresa or Tyler. I don't see Kevin on today, but Teresa or Tyler, if you would like to speak to those candidates and why you kind of felt they were the strongest for the vacancy, that would be wonderful.
Tyler Peoples here. It's true. We had a difficult time, not because we didn't have good candidates, but because all the candidates were great. And each one of them would have brought some, particular aspect or perspective that would have been valuable. And so the difficulty was in just having only one spot that we were looking at and so many qualified candidates. So yeah, after a discussion, we narrowed it down best we could to two candidates. And yeah, we thought with more counsel, we could help narrow it down again to just that final one, even though we did feel strongly that all of them would be great. So.
Teresa, do you have any comments since you're online?
Yes, sir. Teresa Cheek at large. I second what Tyler said, and I was actually thrilled that we had so many people willing to step up and serve. The main thing I was kind of looking at with the candidates was just trying to make sure we could get someone that would be consistent in showing up for the meetings. And so I think that was one thing that I was hoping we could. It's really hard on an application like this to filter that out, but I think that's an important category that we should consider. But I do agree that everyone, the resumes looked great, and it was our main difficulty was in eliminating people that as best we could.
Okay, I have a question pertaining to the two finalists. Do either one of them have a transportation or any background in government or anything of that nature?
No, I don't have either one of their resumes with me. Do you have them?
Sure, they are in the packet. You bring them up, and I just scrolled past the wrong page.
So I must have missed that.
They are on, Tommy, if you could go to page 222 of the PDF there. Candy Boyer, so she's lived in the Springs since 1994. She's been very active with the Republican Party headquarters, with the El Paso County Republican Women's Club, or yes, the Women's Club. She's also been involved with some other committees through her HOA, through the county clerk's and recorder's office. So she has quite a history of similar volunteer positions. perhaps not specifically in the transportation realm, but and her career was primarily in finances and banking. She has a business degree, a bachelor's degree in business administration. She was also a military spouse, so she has that kind of perspective.
Okay.
And then moving on to Patricia Rojas, she's on page 224 of the packet. She has also been a military spouse, so very kind of similar past perspective. She is a volunteer with our Pikes Peak Area Agency on Aging here, also with the Sports Corps and the Special Olympics here in town. She has a background in marketing and project management. Again, not perhaps specifically in transportation, but more business development.
Okay. And she's been in the area a good while too, it would appear.
I'm not 100% sure. I know her resume doesn't say exact, or her application doesn't say exactly how many years.
Okay. I just saw Special Olympics of California, but I didn't know how far back that went. So, okay. Rest of the board, any questions, comments, or anyone online? Hey.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
with Chuck Theobald,
Thought it was
City of
John.
Colorado Springs. I just wanted to thank the committee for having done all of the hard work of collecting the resumes, reading through, and making very good recommendations. I think both candidates are highly qualified, and I appreciate the work you put in.
I agree. So Danelle, do we need a finalist today?
We don't need, there's no deadline.
Okay.
We certainly can take action today. If the committee isn't ready to do that today, we can certainly table it and bring it back next month.
I think my question is everyone ready? Make a suggestion instead of dragging this out, or if so, well, maybe I'll do it this way. Ask for a motion if you would like to proceed on with this today. Chuck,
I would move that we proceed with selecting one of the candidates.
and do we have a second?
Kathy Heisey, Callahan. Second.
Motion and a second. Any more comments? If not, we'll proceed on with I guess we'd have a vote on this, but I don't know how, if we do a paper ballot, that would be difficult online, so.
It would, I think perhaps the easiest, and I'm gonna always lean on Jared here. But I think perhaps the easiest would be to make a motion for someone's preferred candidate and then
take a-
see if
Okay,
that
we
passes.
can go that route. I just want to make sure we're fair and equitable in all ways. And following the rules. So at this time, we can entertain a motion for either Patricia or Candy.
Mr.
Chairman.
Chair,
Who you call it?
Go ahead, Chuck, then we'll get Kathy.
Chuck Theobald, City of Colorado Springs. I move that we select Patricia Rojas for an at-large position on the Community Advisory Committee.
Okay, and do we have a second on that before I go to Kathy?
Mr. Chairman, I second that.
Okay. Any additional comments, or Kathy, do you want to comment at this time?
actually, I was about to make the motion for Candy Boyer based on her longevity in the community and just, having a little bit more experience overall over Patricia. They're both clearly, good candidates, and I am truly happy that we had good candidates. That's not always the case.
Okay. Jared, are you lit up? Oh, okay. Any additional comments or questions? We heard what Kathy said. We do have a motion on the floor.
Comment here, Welling Clark.
Yes, Willie.
I personally have known Candy, and I will say I don't know Patricia that well, but I'll say this about Candy. She is a doer. And if she's given a task, you can count on her. And I will say that, but known her over 2 decades.
Okay, so any other comments? Okay, we can entertain a vote at this time, and doesn't work for Patricia, we'll have to come back, take another motion. So all in favor of Patricia's?
A possible recommendation, sir, is to call for a vote for one candidate and then call for the vote of the other candidate, look at the totals, and that would give you that instead of having to do a motion and if it passes or fails and do another motion, passes or fails. That's an option.
Let me get a legal ruling from Jared on that.
If you're looking for a legal ruling, you better keep looking. So I think we might be overcomplicating this a little bit. So we can treat this, we got a motion and a second on the table. So we need to vote on that at some point. However, I think we can probably vote on both of them at the same time if both the motioner and the seconder is okay with that, and just treat it as like a regular motion, like we would for the tip or something else. There was a question earlier about a secret ballot. I don't think this would qualify as for a secret ballot. I can double check Robert's rules, but I don't think usually, I don't think those would typically qualify as something that would even be eligible for a secret ballot.
That's why I was asking you, because
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
I could be wrong about that. Again, if you're looking for a legal opinion, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV. But yeah, I think I think it was Chuck and then Tyler, if you guys are open to that, if someone else, if a voting member wanted to recommend a friendly amendment to the motion, so you can do it in 1 versus 2 votes, that's an option. Unless there was a desire to do it as 1.
If the process is to vote just for preferred candidates based on the 2, then I'm happy to withdraw the motion I made to nominate.
I don't want to force the committee to do anything. I mean, you can do it however you want, but just.
I think that streamlines the thing. So basically what I can do is just ask for a vote on one candidate, the other, and go from there. The feature online, I think they can raise their hand online. Tom, is that correct? Okay. So what we'll do at this time, all in favor of Patricia, raise your hand or say 2 in the room. Anybody online? I don't see any hands. Okay, we've got 2 for Patricia. And same thing for Candy. Raise your hand for her. You're not
And
legal
not technically until the board.
until the actual
approves.
board approves you.
It's a pretty face.
Okay, we've got 3 online
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Welling and okay.
2 in
Gary.
the room, and
And-
if you'd like to vote.
Yeah, I'll vote for Candy also. So Candy won.
Okay.
Sorry to drag it out, but I want to make this as fair as possible. So, okay, moving on.
Oh,
thank you, Danelle.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Welling.
just Welling Clark, El Paso County. I just want to compliment the nominating committee for putting 2 up there that allowed an either or vote and streamlined the process. And I think that was an excellent procedure for us to adopt maybe in the future.
Yes, and I appreciate Jared's help. I did not know what to do.
And Danelle, for the minutes, is that Kathy Heisey made the motion and Welling Clark? seconded?
Yes. Okay, Josh, moving on to you again.
Okay. So at the last Transportation Advisory Committee meeting, PPACG held a workshop to review and discuss the draft goals, objectives, and performance measures for the regional freight plan update. Today, our consultants will present a summary of what was discussed, along with the refined draft framework and an overview of each goal area. This is an opportunity for the CAC to hear the direction of the plan and provide any feedback as we continue to move forward throughout the process. Additionally, the existing conditions draft was shared with the committee, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and that helps provide some context into the plan's development. So with that, I'll turn it over to our consultants, Richard Driscoll and Christina Leach with Cambridge Systematics.
See, they're there, but they haven't connected yet.
Oh,
Mr.
can you
Chair.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
You got Christina. I
Right.
think we're still getting Richard promoted.
Okay, yeah, I think Richard's okay, yeah, Richard's messaging me. Richard, can you get
Yeah, I just got promoted. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you. Hi, nice to see everyone. And I'm actually gonna turn it over to Richard here to talk us through the PowerPoint. Thanks.
Yep, appreciate it. I can share my screen here unless you all have what you want to show on your end. Oops. Well, that's not that, but that's part of that. It is this screen. Okay, thank you all for having me today. I already recognized some faces that were at the TAC meeting. What was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, where we had the workshop and had spoken with everybody about what the goal areas were, what the objectives were, and then specifically trying to narrow down some of the performance measures. That was an extremely productive meeting. We were able to get a lot of information, and so as Josh had noted, what I'll do is I'll go through that workshop PowerPoint, so folks who haven't seen it already will have an opportunity to see it here now. And then I'll also, excuse me, I'll also go through some of the main discussion points as to what kinds of changes were asked for and what kinds of things that they wanted to see on the performance measure side. So a few meetings ago, I think it was two meetings ago, we had brought to the CAC the general framework for decision-making guidelines that we will be proposing within the context of the freight plan. Basically, what we ultimately want to do is have the freight plan stand as a document that can be referenced to understand what are the priorities within the frame realm and provide transparency to the public's, or to, excuse me, to the private sector as decision making goes on. It'll be something that can be front facing and that we've gone through a long process of determining what's really important to the region. The framework looks as such. It's the goal area. Within the goal area, we have different objectives, and then within an objective, we can have different performance measures that are going to be indicating whether or not we're achieving the objectives that we want to see in the region. And so you've seen that. This is a detailed version of the of that hierarchy. Basically, what we've done is we've narrowed down to 4 goals. We had a discussion around that before, and multiple objective areas for each of the goals. It may be new to some folks. Anyone that was present at the workshop will have seen this before, but we've narrowed down also the performance measures that we'll be kind of pursuing for each of the objectives. For the sake of time, I won't go through each of these individually. That was mainly why we had held the workshop, so we could really just dig in for a little bit and spend some time on each of them. But for folks that haven't seen this for the first time, I'd happily send over this what is this, PowerPoint to Josh or whomever to send out for additional content. You may already have it in your packets. But I will spend some time talking about some of the things that were discussed that we wanted to see changed. Okay, so within the safety goal, some of the things that were discussed are, around each of the individual objectives, not necessarily across all objectives, but certainly some, were incorporating some ideas around strategies for illegal parking. That was kind of born out of the, safe parking for drivers objective. Speaking more to crash rates, which was born out of the general safety for I guess I should say safety for all road users in the region. It was originally just crashes. We're looking at exploring some crash rate information that would help kind of put a more appropriate metric to certain areas in the state. The magnitude of hazard was born out of a discussion around safety related to oversize, overweight, and hazardous materials. As it stands, we're just looking at number of hazardous materials involved incidents, and we wanted to explore incorporating magnitude of hazard. So how impactful was it? And then lastly, we talked about consolidating human trafficking. One of the objectives was trying to elevate human trafficking because it's becoming really important of late. And so rather than having it as its own objective, we're exploring incorporating it into some other objectives in the in the safety goal area. I'll shift over to the economic development one on the right here. The business, what we had discussed, stepping away from financials, dollar amount elements, and talking specifically to business counts as a measure of growth, freight related growth in the region. The dollar amounts tend to be a little bit more difficult to pull accurate data for, and so looking at business counts, we can better reflect more precise data in the region. We were talking about the second bullet here, considering bus frequency with an adjoining performance measure for new service. What we had talked about was getting workforce from their homes to their places of work as one of the objectives for economic development. And so we wanted to incorporate a transit element to this. And so one of the things that we were looking at was looking at the bus frequency, existing bus frequency, and then new bus routes that may exist in the future. And so kind of like tracking those as performance measures. And then last was a curb management element. We were looking at incorporating that into a best practices subsection. That way there's a discussion around how curb management can be impactful to localities and kind of enhance their how trucks are moving through their some of their more more narrow streets or areas where it's difficult to offload freight, things like that. In the resilience goal, we had looked at elevating the NPMRDS measures. This is stuff like delay and congestion measures, because those are really important indicators for how freight is moving through the network. We had also talked about incorporating a peak hour assessment as part of that. Additionally, we talked about real-time routing tools. This is born partly out of some things that were also discussed in military, just getting vehicles where they need to go, and avoiding closures and things of that nature when they pop up. And so providing some level of real-time routing tools would be an important element of keeping drivers informed as they're navigating the region's freight network. And then the last piece was incorporating closures into the goal. There wasn't like necessarily a specific call out for closures, and so what we wanted to do was incorporate that in the performance measures. Somehow identifying like how frequently they're happening, and kind of developing an understanding of, okay, where are they happening? How frequently are they happening? What are some of our key routes of concern in that space? And then for military, there were no additional comments. What was nice was we spent a lot of time with the military talking about what was important to them. Luckily, they felt that there was a really good relationship with PPACG. And so, a number of our metrics were kind of associated with nurturing that relationship, or continuing to nurture that relationship. And they had some specific elements where the region can kind of step in and kind of go to bat for helping wayfinding as far as getting trucks into the appropriate gates at various installations. And so there were no additional comments. So that was really exciting that we had kind of gotten what we were expecting to get from military, and that everything was copacetic there. So again, those were the major changes. Happy to share the slide before here where it has all the performance measures and objectives listed out. This doesn't have some of those updated changes that are listed here, but happy to kind of just share this PowerPoint as needed. But yeah, I'll take questions.
Any questions in the room?
Welling Clark, El Paso County. No questions. I attended the TAC
Yep.
and I was invited to participate in asking questions. And overall, from the in-depth presentation, I saw it was very well put together. Some rates questions I asked were if we're making a change, we're looking not at absolutes, but like number of, say, accidents per, traffic volume or population or something like that. The team was very professional, accepted all comments to see if they could incorporate that information in to see if we're making a difference. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I want to thank PPACG for inviting me there. So I will have no questions, but I wanted to make a comment about that time there.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Anyone
it.
online? Just to be clear, this is Springs Metro. Does that include Fountain Woodland Park?
Yes, it does. So this plan includes Park, Teller, and El Paso
Okay,
County.
okay, I just wanted to be clear because we've had some variations over the months. Okay. And you don't need a recommendation or anything at this time. We're ongoing.
Yes, correct. This is just information.
Okay. Kathy's hands up. Oh, you go next. Gary.
Just one question. It's in our handout, it's on page 278. It's talking about the Colorado 21 Powers Boulevard, in particular in figure 5-6. I'm
Looking at
reading the description. It's talking about it's going to be the interchange that's at Voyager and Powers. Yet they're showing as number 1 the intersection at Briargate Parkway, which is done. So I'm not sure why that's listed. I think it ought, number 1 should be Colorado 21 Interquest interchange. That's where they have to build the interchange.
Gotcha. Yep. I'm making edits now.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank you very much.
Kathy, do you still have a question?
Actually, I just have an administrative note on page 261 of our packet.
Mhm.
In the legend for figure 3.7 hazmat, we have primary fuels and nuclear, but fuels is spelled F-U-L-E-S.
Thank you very much. I see.
That is all I had.
For reference for everybody, I've got this pulled up over here and I'm making live notes so that I can so that these changes are getting implemented in real time.
Thank you, Kathy. I didn't see that at all. Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you for the presentation and we'll move on then. Thanks, Josh.
Yep, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Lisa, are you doing this or does Danelle? Okay.
Yep, I think we'll both play a little bit of a role in here. So I'll do a quick intro and then hand it off to Lisa, and then it'll come back to me. So we are doing an update to our Title VI plan and also our limited English proficiency plan. We talked about this a little bit 2 months ago when I brought you the draft of the public participation plan, because the three kind of work together to guide our staff on how to conduct our planning process in the transportation department. These two particular plans we've split off for the remainder of the process because the public participation plan requires a 45-day public comment period, whereas these two don't. Also, these two draft documents have a federal requirement on their update. So they were last updated in 2023. We're to do that every 3 years, so it's 2026. So that's why we are making these updates now. In your packets, if you haven't had a chance to look today, are these 3 or 4 slides that we have here, and also a summary of changes, just so you can take a look at that very quickly and see if there's anything you'd like to kind of dive in deeper on any of the draft plans. We've also included both of those draft plans in there with some highlighted areas. Those highlighted areas just denote anywhere where there were additions to the text or significant changes to the text. And I think with that, we can go to the Title VI slide.
Hi, everyone.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Sorry to
Thank
interrupt.
you.
I'm just very excited. I'm Lisa Gagnon. I'm the transit planner here, and I was in charge of the Title VI plan. So what is the Title VI plan? It's part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and this states that no person in the United States should be discriminated based on color, national origin, or race, to be excluded from any federal financial assistance or any federal program. So how PPACG is meeting these requirements, we are ensuring that our long-range transportation plan and our TIP comply with Title VI, and it has to address the minority or the needs of the minority populations, so the benefits and burdens of any transportation project are distributed fairly, ensures that the public involvement process has no barriers to prevent any participation and engaging within those populations, and then to make sure to hold public meetings and facilities that people with disabilities the facilities are ADA compliant, and that it can accommodate the desired population. And that is the basis of the Title VI plan. I'm going to pass it off to Danelle for the limited English proficiency plan.
Thank you. Tommy, if you could go to the next slide. This just talks a little bit about what the limited English proficiency plan is. And basically what we have done here is take the census data that's available to, actually it's the American Community Survey data through the Census Bureau that is available to us, and kind of make sure that we're addressing these 4 particular elements. The first one is just making sure that we know the proportion of persons with limited English proficiency in our area, and where those where the concentration of those people live. That helps us to understand not only how transportation projects could potentially impact those people, but also how we can do better with our public participation and engagement. So for instance, in our area, we have a larger than average percentage of people with limited English proficiency in the southeast portion of the metropolitan planning area. So perhaps when we do reach out activities, we can engage with certain community agencies or provide translation services in more proactive ways to make sure that we're engaging, or we're giving opportunity to engage across the board. We also, talk about the frequency with which we interact with people with limited English proficiency, which is actually fairly rare. We actually don't get a lot of, for instance, when we put out our long range transportation plan, our survey, our comment sheets, we will do that in both English and Spanish. We generally don't get a lot of feedback in any language that is not English. We talk about the nature of the program, the importance of the program, which again is that kind of continuing cooperative planning process that we're required to provide, including people across all communities. And then finally, just the resources available. So this document goes into all of the different resources we have to interact with various communities, including the great work that Jared has done to make our website translate into multiple languages, our translation services that we have on demand, and some of those kinds of activities. So we just want to make sure all of that information is collected in one planning location so that any members of our staff can go to this, and when we're conducting our planning processes, we're following these guidelines. And we have one more slide, Tommy. Thank you. So just for everyone's awareness here, like I said, there were not a whole lot of changes to either of these plans. We did make some updates based on changes in both the federal administration guidance and some state guidance. We have made some adjustment of language just for clarity, taken out some redundancy in some of those areas. We did make a few changes regarding some updated tools or tactics, such as the website modifications that have made it easier to do some of these activities. And then, of course, we've taken the new ACS data, and all of our mapping in these plans is based on that newest available data whenever possible. So happy to take any questions at this point. What we will plan to do for these two plans, we will probably, unless we get other feedback from the board, we will plan to bring these back for adoption next month.
And will you have any part of it online to review prior to next month or?
I don't think we are planning to do that. We can certainly send out a link to anybody. We can make it available if that's helpful.
Okay,
for folks.
if someone's interested. Any questions online? Or in the room? Yes, you covered it thoroughly. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, Gary.
sure. So I understood that the tip is published in both English and Spanish.
The tip is, the hard copy was printed in English. Generally, we do executive summaries for the long range plan in Spanish. If you go onto our website, it has the ability to translate into not only Spanish, but also Korean and German. So you can actually go onto the website and look at the tip and actually have it translated into other languages.
I'll clarify a little bit on that. So we kind of go through a deliberative process. Tommy and I both do it in terms of language translation. So the old website did have an automatic Google Translate button. It was not bad, but not great. And so when we launched our new website, it was almost 2 years ago now. We did a few things. One of them was implementing better best practices. So like the language bars at the top of each page, so that if you do speak a language other than English, you don't have to wade through a page of English to try to find, hey, click here for the Spanish version. It's right there at the top of any page that we have. So it doesn't automatically do it. That's a manual process that Tommy and I go through. Right now, our focus is on the long range transportation plan and getting that into all the 4 languages, English, Spanish, German, Korean. And then at that point, and then we'll go to other documents. I'm on Appendix B of the long range plan. So we're getting there. It's just because we also, in addition to the text, which is relatively easy, but we also do the images. Which even a Google Translate button does not do. So if you're looking at a map, we are manually also updating the map so that the legend has the language that we're also, so it matches the rest of the text around it. By a little bit more than we need to do, but at the same time, if you do speak in one of those other languages, our goal is like everything on there is going to be as in your native language as possible. We also go through and update the PDFs as we go through. So if you look at the LRTP, the Spanish, German, or Korean version, everything that we've already translated on the website, that's also translated to that language. So if you print it off just like you would the English version, you can get it there. And we adjust the page numbers as well. So
thank you, Jared.
sorry, yeah,
No, I
a
appreciate
little bit
the
different.
correction
Yeah,
because the time frame is,
yeah.
I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Thank you, ladies. And any announcements online for any comments, announcements that you want to cover before we adjourn? Not anyone in the room? Air show still on Welling?
4th of July air show is on. The September regional World War II air show is also still on.
Thank you. And the meeting schedule is posted, and there's nothing else. We are adjourned. Thank you for bearing with the voting confusion I had here. So. Yeah. But, you did like that.